Unfortunately, the Arizona Wildcats drop their home opener of the College World Series to Coastal Carolina, and I officially hate Coastal Carolina. The most devastating music in the business, Derek Montilla.
That was very sad.
It was sad, and it ended kind of abruptly, but maybe that's just because I didn't really want to talk about it anymore. This is the AZ Wildcats post-game show. Thank you for everybody for tuning in right now. Drop a like on this video, please. I got my main man, my sidekick right now, but I'm usually his sidekick. Right now, the Robin to my Batman, but it's typically the other way around.
We're each other's sidekicks.
PHNX D-backs own Derek Montilla, just to talk a little bit of baseball with your boy.
Happy to be here, sir. Happy to talk some baseball. I got a doubleheader today, and yeah, you got me rooting for the Arizona Wildcats, which is pretty disgusting. However, this was a fun game. This was a competitive game, and a great way to open the College World Series.
Yeah, it was. It was a fun one for sure, but it just didn't go really in our favor, and a lot of bounces kind of went against the Arizona Wildcats tonight, or today, I should say. But yeah, Derek, you say you got a doubleheader. What do you think about a quadruple header? Because that's what your boy's pulling today. PHNX Mercury, PHNX AZ Wildcats, PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Diamondbacks.
Yeah, you're going to be here for a long time today.
I'm setting up shop.
I'm going to have to bring you some food over from Chase Field or something later. We'll figure something out. But the sports don't stop around here. The sports do not stop, especially when it's baseball season.
I really could have used that extra energy, too, from the Wildcats winning today.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a good boost for me to kind of just help get me through the day here. But unfortunately, it wasn't the case. It wasn't meant to be, and Arizona loses this one to Coastal Carolina by a score of, what was it, 8-5 final score?
7-4 was the final score.
7-4 final score, which, it was a little bit misleading. This was a very back and forth game. Arizona, went out in front kind of in the 2/3 of the way through the game here. Arizona was up in the sixth inning and, just couldn't get any more runs across the board the rest of the way. Probably could have scored a run here in the ninth inning and made this a 2-run game, but they didn't want to risk getting an out at home plate, which is understandable because it's not like it would have mattered anyways. But somewhat of a misleading score in my opinion. But Arizona does lose this one, and Coastal gets they made the big plays when it mattered. They in the big moments they came through. Whether or not it was kind of fluky and it was a little bit of blooper here, dribbler there, and they were hitting it just in the right places. At the end of the day, that's baseball, and these things happen, man.
Well, I cover the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that's very bad with runners in scoring position. U of A had their chances today, but they only went 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position today. So very familiar with that aspect of it, getting those opportunities, but not being able to convert them. Also, Coastal Carolina scored, a few of their runs on some defensive mistakes. Especially I believe it was their 4th run that they scored there to tie the game in the bottom of the 6th inning. Just some bad defensive positioning there by Caulfield at second base. I don't know if they had the shift on or not, but he was right there up on second base, and the ball was hit right to an area where the second baseman would normally be. Otherwise, with 2 outs, it didn't make a lot of sense for him to be protecting
problem.
second
right
there so much.
Like you have 2 outs there, you're more worried about getting that batter.
Just get that out. Just get that
100%.
one out at the field. Don't worry about getting that guy over at second base. And there were just a couple of mistakes here or there. I mean, this was a tie ball game up until the 8th inning, and it was an exciting game overall. But again, just a few mistakes there defensively allowed not only the innings to continue, but for Coastal Carolina there to get a couple of runs that ended up, being the difference maker.
Yeah, basketball and football guy brings up a good point. He says, Derek, now you're a U of A fan.
It's gross.
I don't want to go as far to put the entire university on you, but I will say that I think Derek wants to support good local baseball in this state.
That's very true.
This is, this is a fun team. It's not like Derek's going to Phoenix Muni and he's like pissed off, watching ASU baseball or anything. So you could find yourself liking both teams here.
Look, all I know is that there is a website called keepazmajorleague.com that currently exists.
Oh,
so
man.
not only does that make me sick to my stomach,
You might
in
be
regards to the
ASU
Diamondbacks,
and
but
Arizona baseball guy in a minute here.
Saying, I'm putting my tryout in now in case I lose my job covering a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good point. College baseball. You said you had a great time watching it today.
Oh, it was the best.
Yeah.
I love this. I love college baseball. Like, not only do I feel like the umpires are like more in charge in college baseball. There was that hit batter Alexander, who I think got hit again, and neither of them actually counted as hit by pitch. But yeah, they kind of had their little discussion. And even though my man just from Coastal Carolina leaned in just a little bit, it was enough for the umpires to go, nah, you're not getting hit by that pitch. You're wave it off. That's a strike, and you're going back in there for another at bat.
He did take control of this game. He was very vocal. He had like a mic on him, and
yeah.
he talked. You heard the home plate umpire talking quite a bit,
I mean,
which
it
most
fun.
of it was interesting, fun stuff. Yeah,
and also I think it's funny because it's not to say that there probably weren't their moments, but like I feel like college baseball players and managers are just a little bit more respectful, which results in a lot of these, back and forths being a little bit more respectful. And hey, look at that. Nobody gets tossed out of a big game like this. But there were some questionable calls. I mean, there was that hit by pitch situation would have definitely had me up in arms if I was the manager. But the sound of the bat, everything about it, the guys being able to kind of do their own little celebrations and whatnot, not having it be a thing where it's a problem and we're throwing at each other or anything like that. Like I feel like college just gets it right when it comes to like the soul of baseball and letting baseball be a fun game. But again, the ping off that bat, Damon, inject that directly into my veins.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And again, it was beautiful when our guy White there hit his home run. I know you had an interview with him recently.
Yeah,
so
check it out on our YouTube channel, PHNX Sports. I did a Mason White interview. Just kind of talked about his recruitment to Arizona and how it almost didn't really happen until Chip Hale kind of stepped in and made it happen. But and just kind of what this College World Series appearance has meant to his family. But I'm sure Mason and co are definitely feeling this one right now and not thinking about what it's, it feels so good to make it here because this was a winnable baseball game, frankly. Yeah. And Owen Kramkowski, he kind of shoved today.
He did.
He is a guy that allows a little bit more, has a little bit of a higher whip. He's a little bit of a, allow base runners guy, but he finds ways to get out of these jams. He had that bases loaded jam in the second inning and gave up only 2 runs out of it, which was, all things considered, bases loaded, 0 outs, like 2 runs. You keep yourself in the ball game there and really just kind of held strong throughout the rest of the game. Was incredible. Was an incredible performance from Kramkowski, and he ends up going 5 innings pitched, gives up 9 hits, 3 earned runs, had 7 strikeouts. This guy throws a ton of strikes, man, and they brought it up, Derek. He is the Big 12 leader in first pitch strikes, or not first pitch strikes, strike percentage. He throws 70% of his pitches in the strike zone, or 4 strikes, I should say. And there is a thing to be said that could be a bit of an issue too, because you're giving a lot of hitters a lot of things to hit, and I think that's part of the reason why his ERA is what it is. But he throws a lot of strikes, and he makes you beat him at least.
Yeah, he didn't pitch today like a pitcher with a 5.48 ERA, but he did give up 3 earned runs on 9 hits. Gave up a lot of contact, but man, I'll tell you, he was cold-blooded when it came to those big moments and pitching in the strike zone. I was pretty impressed by his ability to get himself out of those jams with runners on. There were a couple of times where U of A pitchers went out there with a runner in scoring position, especially a guy on third in less than 2 outs, and kept that run from scoring. And that part was impressive. That's what makes it more unfortunate that the little mistakes ended up being the difference in this game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We tweeted about it on our Twitter account. I mean, Garrett Hicks, the man with the mustache, Derek, dyed long blonde hair,
and then didn't.
Little wax on the mustache. He comes in there and he strands that runner on third base in such a big moment. Keeps
awesome.
This game 4-4. Like, this bullpen is pretty much been nails all season long, all postseason long, and yeah, it's unfortunate the way that things kind of unraveled in that eighth inning here because Garrett Hicks struck out those first two batters too, and he was looking like he was just unhittable for a second. Had a guy down 0-2, and then just like we talked about at the beginning of the show, just like kind of just 0-2 battling, trying to foul something off, pokes his bat out at a slider that was a good 6 inches out of the zone, very low. And it just lands straight on the foul line and leads to a double that ultimately ends up, getting the Coastal Carolina winning run across the board here. So that was unfortunate, and it kind of felt undeserved, Derek. Same with the third run on Kramkowski that we were talking about, where it was a bit of a hit and run situation where kind of hits a weak dribbler up the second baseline. Caulfield goes to cover second. The fact that those are the two pivotal points of the game, I think that as Arizona fans, that's what hurts, right? Because the two major moments that separated these two teams were really a really crappy swing that ended up being a double and another, a hit and run situation that ended up going in their favor. Like it just was that part of it was brutal, man. And it's going to be hard to not think that Arizona should be with up a win here in the College World Series and worrying about who they're playing next game between Oregon State and I forget the next team that's playing, but it's just it's an unfortunate situation right now, and now Arizona finds themselves in the loser bracket.
I really wish I had Baseball Savant for this game, Damon, because I would love to see the expected batting average on those two pivotal plays that ended up making the big difference there for Coastal Carolina. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the Arizona pitchers came out, did an outstanding job. It was just kind of unlucky, and we've talked about it before. It's the reason why at a big league level we'll see like Torey Lovullo, for instance, pull a reliever that went out there and just got a third of an inning pitched, maybe looked awesome in that one against that one batter, but then pulls him for another guy. It's because those up downs can really change a reliever, and Hicks went out there and shoved in the 7th inning and then came back in the 8th inning and just didn't really look like the same guy necessarily, right?
Well, he did at first,
but he did get the two first outs, right?
Like so easily.
But I mean, still, it was just it's extending it that little extra bit, and of course, this is a big game. You want to rely on some of your best pitchers, but this just kind of went sideways on them there at the end, and I mean, credit to U of A for overcoming or almost overcoming the ESPN agenda here to make sure that Coastal Carolina.
I'm sure that people in the chat are all about that.
Look, it was a home game for Coastal Carolina, and it was basically a home broadcast for Coastal Carolina. I felt like, and this is coming from an unbiased person, or maybe even a biased person that might be more against one of these teams than the other. However, I did find myself rooting on Arizona today. So.
Yeah, Basketball and Football Guy says here that Summerhill needed to get to that first base hit, that one that bounced on the foul line. I think, Derek, we have a little bit of a I'll put this in a MLB terms. When they say like tweets, like it'll be like what explain in MLB terms. I'm going to do that for you for a second here,
Please
Derek. Brandon Nimmo for the Mets last year. Do you remember his injury that was kind of keeping him hobbled and not really playing the best defense, but you needed his bat in the lineup for the Mets during that postseason run? I think that's kind of what we got right now with the Brendan Summerhill situation. He's not fully recovered from his lower half injury that he had in the second half of the season. And, that he had to like ramp it back up and play for this team because they were struggling to even make the postseason necessarily. They needed him back in that lineup. And he's, the highest regarded player on the roster from a professional standpoint. He's going to be a first round pick when June's draft rolls around here, but or July's draft, I should say. But yeah, he's just that was an unfortunate one as well. And yeah, that one had enough lift on it where you would hope that your outfielder could maybe get a play on it, but it just unfortunately it went to the one side of the field where you had a guy who couldn't really run as fast as maybe he once could.
Yeah, well, he has been tearing the cover off the ball this year. I mean, a 354 batting average with a 573 slug. Totally understand it. I would do everything to have that man in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Mason White and Brendan Summerhill are the engine of this team.
Mason White has a 700 slugging percentage. That's ridiculous.
He's 5'9", 175 pounds. That might be generous. And he is one of the most prolific power hitters in the history of this very storied program. He's second all time in home runs
That's
in Arizona
wild.
baseball history at that stature, and he plays shortstop. Just a really fun player, and I expect him to be. I was talking earlier with somebody here in studio and saying that he's not going to be in Brendan Summerhill's range of like a first round pick, I think, because of that size, but he has so much pop in that bat that I do believe he's going to be like a top 5 round pick. You should see him go fairly early, and that'll be great for him as well. But getting back to this game, I think, there were times where Arizona just didn't come through in big moments as well, Derek. Like you had a situation where Andrew Kane was up there, and he had 2 runners on, less than 2 outs. He had 1 out on the board, and you need to get that runner from third over to. Arizona had a lead at that point in the 6th inning. They could have gotten themselves an extra cushion there with a 2-run lead, and Andrew Kane strikes out, and then when he gets up in the 9th inning to start a rally, he rips a line drive into right field. And it's like, if you could just switch those 2 at bats, we're talking about, runners on first and third, you're up 2, there's still 1 out.
Yeah.
That's
Could have been a difference
genuinely
maker.
game changing. So I just think, as much as I think that the bounces didn't go Arizona's way, Arizona also didn't do themselves favors when it came to, runners in scoring position, needing to get some of those guys in there and getting some bad at bats from some of their better players, honestly, with runners in scoring position. They went 3 for 13, Derek, with runners in scoring position today. So
not great.
No, it's not great. It's under 250. Excuse me. Just muted real quick for the people, but that's under 250, and you have. Just looking at this here, 0 for 2 from Brendan Summerhill, 0 for 1 from Mason White. That's pretty groundbreaking there. When your 2 best players go 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, that's how you lose College World Series games ultimately. And I'm not trying to blame those guys. Mason White, obviously, like, he hits that solo shot. This game could be a blowout without that happening potentially. But it's you got to come through in those moments. And conversely, they had a little bit more opportunity, but Coastal Carolina goes 5 for 19 in those runners in scoring position opportunities, Derek, which is just above 250. And that's the difference, right? That is the very, very slight minor difference in this game, is one team was a little bit better with runners on base than the other one.
Well, and not only that, but when U of A started to get to the Coastal Carolina starting pitcher Eichhoff, they pivoted, and they go to the Fluky, who gave them 4 solid innings out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And both of those guys, they both have a Eichhoff has a sub 3 ERA, Fluky has a 3.29 ERA. Those guys, did an excellent job. And again, leaning, I don't want to call it a starter situation, but or an opener, but they kind of just went to 2 starters there with both guys splitting, time here for 4 innings apiece. And that seemed to be pretty effective, because right when Arizona started figuring out Eichhoff, they switched things up on him. And that kind of, again, they got their runs against Fluky as well, but he settled in nicely and gave Coastal Carolina a nice
Fluky,
performance.
another name that's just like not a baseball name if you're a relief pitcher, right? Or actually maybe
it's perfect. Maybe it's perfect.
I don't know. That one's kind of a mystery.
Yeah, that one.
Is it negative? Is it positive? Could it be? It could be a fluke in a positive way, but then that kind of demeans your ability to, go out there and shove a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't really know how to take that.
Yeah, it's Cameron Fluky.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why, but that kind of feels a little. That feels like a good name, Cameron Fluky. But
it rolls off the tongue well.
Yeah, I don't know. You definitely don't. You a lot of your success is going to be attributed to things being a fluke. So that's, if you can handle that, if you have the shoulders to withstand that kind of name, then you can stand up in big moments like this and shove in those vital College World Series game moments. Overall, I thought Arizona just didn't, again, capitalize with those runners in scoring position, and they had their opportunities, right?
Yeah.
They had several opportunities. Starting from the beginning of the game, they had a guy in scoring position. So it's not like they didn't have their chances. They just couldn't deliver that big hit, or just, again, a couple of those go their way, and maybe the momentum changes a little bit here, and they end up coming out with the win.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk a little bit more about ESPN wearing teal and gold on the broadcast today. Derek, talk a little bit more about just the chaos of college baseball. And we're going to bring on college baseball expert Monty Taylor from College Baseball Central and ask him. He is in Omaha, and he was just talking to some of the players post game. So we'll be asking him some questions about what's going on in Omaha, and we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that right after the break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. But first, let's talk about our friends at Empire Today. You guys know that I love Empire Today, and that's because of their virtual floor designer. It's when you make a big, massive purchase like getting some brand new flooring, right? You want to make sure you love it. And Empire Today is going to make sure that you absolutely love it before you make a big purchase that you regret, right? So here's the deal. They're going to show up with their team. They're flooring experts, if you will. This isn't just something that they do. These are people that work in flooring every single day, every hour of every day, and they absolutely love it. They're going to show up to your house, give you a free in-home estimate, take a picture of your room, bedroom, kitchen, whatever it is, and show you what that flooring that you're interested in will look like in that room before you get it installed. So that's how they make sure that you don't have big time regret on your purchase. And another way that they're going to make sure that you don't have big time regret is with our promo code of PHNX. It's going to get you $350 off your guys' brand new flooring. So head on over to Empire Today/PHNX for full details, EmpireToday.com/PHNX, and save $350 on that brand new flooring. Another company that I want to talk about that we absolutely are huge fans of over here at PHNX Sports is Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Derek knows a thing or two about Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
You know I do.
And Derek and I need to take a little bit of a boys trip, I think, to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We've been talking about it. And now that Jesse's living in San Diego, I think it's fair game to finally invite Derek on one of these things. We're going to do it. We're going to hit up the sports book. We're going to hit up the pools and the cabanas. We're going to go to Prime A Shula Steakhouse, maybe have a nice meal. If we get a little bit, nasty at night, who knows? We might end up at Fat Burger, Derek. That's the great part about Gila River Resorts and Casinos. They have all the dining options from upscale to a little bit lower scale with that are, more affordable pricing, right? But still great food. They have, they have the pool area. They have concerts. It's the best. Gila River Resorts and Casinos is just, they have it all. And you can do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. I love Wild Horse Pass, man. I know Derek's a big Wild Horse Pass guy as well.
Wild Horse Pass fan. We go there for events, Damon, and then they expect me to just
like chill and like do your job.
Yeah, and then leave afterwards.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna just not stop by the gaming floor. Their roulette tables are amazing. I've talked about this before, but they project on the table. I don't have to crank my neck over to see what's going on the spinner. I can just look at the table, see the number come up, and then the little areas that one glow. It's amazing. Not to mention Fat Burger. Don't even get me started. How dare you besmirch the good name of Fat Burger? I know it's free ad Friday, so I could just go off on this.
But I forgot about free ad Friday. I didn't really come with much to the table for free ad Friday today.
Fat Burger is an underrated place to stop at at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
You and Jesse got a little bit of a Fat Burger. We went on a little bit of a Fat Burger trip with with the boys.
Time.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
And
once you start a Fat Burger order, you might as well just go all the way. It's just going to be $1 more for an extra patty, then $1 more for another patty, $1 more for bacon. Once you start going down that path, you're just going to go ahead and just load it on up. So just do that now, make that decision now. But that's a whole other time. That's for when we have that great time over there at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I did want to talk about the ESPN agenda very much, by the way.
Yes, and this is coming from a guy who would not consider himself an Arizona fan. Like Derek. Were they not there was a point in the game I looked at Totri and I said, this is getting ridiculous. There was a point where the broadcast team goes, and that's just what this do it all, top to bottom, no stars, no one's bigger than the team mentality of Coastal Carolina. And I'm like, isn't that kind of the definition of baseball? Like Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout were on the Angels and they were the most irrelevant team in the league for years because it's not a one-person, two-person sport. If you want to win games, here's a spoiler alert. You got to do it from the top of your lineup to the bottom of your lineup.
That's kind of how, yeah.
I just thought that was so funny.
Well,
just like the whole time, it was all stuff like that.
It wasn't just stuff like that. It was like the entire opening broadcast for it being the opening game of the College World Series. I thought, this was going to be a great chance to, highlight things. Like, I think of events like this as being an event that new fans are watching. And I'm not very familiar with the Wildcats. I know about Mason White because of you guys, and I know about some of the players, but I haven't been following this closely. I appreciate you having me on to talk ball, even though I haven't. And this was an outstanding game, despite the results and despite what happened there in the bottom of the 8th inning. But overall, I felt like this Wildcats team had a lot of fun stories. They didn't really talk about Chip Hale, his connection to being the Diamondbacks manager and other things there. Like, there were a lot of things in the broadcast, though, that were discussed, including interviewing the Coastal Carolina manager that got them the College World Series title in the stands, and showing family members and all this stuff. I just didn't feel like Arizona got the same love on the broadcast. I also don't think the College World Series itself got a lot of love. I was traveling over here in the middle of the game, and I was trying to look up the score, and I was kind of flabbergasted by how hard it was for me to find the score. Now, I do know I could have just gone to the ESPN app, and I'm lazy and I'm old, so forgive me. But I did just try to throw into Google a series of combination of words using the Google microphone, or using the mic on my phone. And it took me to the Coastal Carolina website to see how beautiful their campus is. It took me to, I kid you not, I was about to say another word that we're not allowed to say here. I kid you not. It took me to a football game between Coastal Carolina and Arizona. And that's like so irrelevant right now. I couldn't believe that with this being the opening game of the College World Series, that this wasn't something, not only would I be immediately redirected to on Google, but that the score would come up like any other big game for any other sport. If you looked up Pacers in the middle of an NBA championship game, you're going to get the score up at the top of Google first and foremost. You might get an ad, link first, but you're going to get the score and the box score and everything before you even get a suggestion for a website to go to. So I just thought, honestly, that there was a lack of love for the College World Series, and then within the College World Series, there was a lack of love for both teams. Like, I know Coastal Carolina is the favorite. I know they're this magical story from years ago, but I mean, just as a sports broadcasting company, use this opportunity to highlight both teams. I don't know.
Debatable, not that magical.
I mean,
some people don't think it's that magical.
You definitely have moved them from the irrelevant list to the hatred list.
I was telling Derek before the show, so I have this in the works. I want to do like a hate tier rankings for this show, and we'll do it with.
So shocked
we're
going to
do it with
one already.
Yes, but that's because Kevin Thomas is my co-host.
Yeah,
and
he's too nice. He's a nice guy.
Lover. Yeah,
he's a nice guy.
So that's why I planned on doing this when Kevin went on vacation. So me and Saul Bookman, another fellow hater, we will be doing we'll be doing a tier ranking of the teams we hate the most. And I'll tell you what, man, Coastal Carolina went from like a team where I was like, that was a cute story, and it sucks that we lost them in 2016, but oh well. But today, and I don't know what it is. I think it's just that's how rivalries happen. You play teams multiple times, and you start being like, I don't like these guys as much as I thought I did. And now I'm like, you know what, Coastal? Screw you, man. Screw you.
Yeah.
You're a bad guy. And I don't like your fans. I don't like your stupid cool colors, even though your jerseys are actually the jerseys are kind of mid. Let's talk about that for a second. They have way too cool of colors for their jerseys to be as mid as they are.
I was this close to wearing one of my shirts, one of these dumb shirts I wear that was too close to Coastal Carolina colors. So I made the last minute decision to not do that.
We appreciate you.
I know. I figured you would like that as much, but Wildcats back against the wall. They're not done, but this is a double elimination tournament. So if they lose one more game, it's a wrap for them. I mean, I hope, honestly, I feel like their guys stepped up under the pressure in a lot of moments today. So I think that they are capable of doing this, but again, they're kind of an underdog here, and now odds are against them.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek, we appreciate you hopping on with us, talking a little bit of Wildcats baseball today.
Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, we'll be talking to you in the future here, brother. And Yeah, thanks. Well, if you guys aren't doing so, please tune into PHNX D-backs tonight. It'll be me, it'll be Derek, it'll be very much the exact same thing that we're
Yeah,
doing right
Damon's
now.
not going anywhere.
But
We're
we'll be
talking a win. We'll be talking a win
we'll
then.
be
That's the
talking about a
difference.
win. That is the difference, and we'll be talking some Diamondbacks baseball. So thanks so much, Derek. We appreciate
Absolutely.
you, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Now, without further ado, I'm bringing on a college baseball expert. We got College Baseball Central's ACC content lead, Monty Taylor, and we appreciate you, Monty, for joining us. You are boots on the ground in Omaha, are you not?
Yeah. It's my second year here, and excited to explore some other teams since the ACC kind of let me down, not you down, kind of helped you guys out.
Yeah.
Not getting four teams here this year, it's a little helpful. It's a little easier, a little less stressful, and I'm getting to explore some other teams. I have a soft spot for Arizona. I'm a Nationals fan. Chip Hale, obviously
Oh,
the
yeah?
bench coach of the 2019 World Series winning team. There's a connection to Guzman behind the dish. But seeing how he's developed over the last 2 years at Arizona has been phenomenal. But yes, I'm excited. I know things didn't go Arizona's way, but it was a great baseball game to start off the tournament.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was very, very entertaining, to say the least. But I'm assuming, given that you're an ACC guy, that Coastal Carolina is kind of in the news a lot regarding what's going on in the college baseball landscape in that neck of the woods, right? Because they've really burst on the scene in the last 10 years or so. Kind of have become like one of the elite mid-major programs in the country, and that's right in the Clemson kind of side of things. I was just out actually in Myrtle Beach checking out Coastal Carolina like
Nice.
less than a year ago, and yeah, I'm sure that they're big in the news right now with you guys.
Well, yeah, and they midweeks huge, like North Carolina, Duke, Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, all play midweeks against Coastal. I think Coastal actually swept Wake Forest in midweeks this year, or vice versa, something crazy. But yeah, we get a lot of Coastal. I was also in Jacksonville at the beginning of the season when Coastal Carolina was in that tournament with Alabama, NC State, and Ohio State. I wasn't particularly impressed, but it was February 21st, and they still went 2-1. So, this is a lot different Coastal team than I saw in February. They've improved a lot. And I can understand part of. I was listening to you guys right beforehand, and I can understand a little bit of not just the rivalry that's coming up and how you might dislike Coastal, but the way they're getting all this media love is certainly going to play a factor because they're getting a lot of it. And I heard you say something about somebody was talking about how they don't have any stars, and yet Caden Bodine might be the best college catcher.
Yeah, second team
Especially after seeing
All-American.
seeing Luke Stevenson and him back to back so close together. Stevenson might have more professional upside because he's only been in college 2 years. He's draft eligible sophomore. But what Caden Bodine does from a complete catching role is just unbelievable. And I don't know how many strikes he stole tonight. And I also need to apologize because you guys had to deal with an ACC umpire behind the plate tonight. I saw him there, and I was like, why is Greg Street in charge of this crew? But I digress. But I apologize for that as well because I didn't pay too close attention to the umpiring tonight. But I can only imagine, knowing it was a Greg Street strike zone, that it was not great. I can only assume that. But
There was a couple calls here and there that weren't the best, but it does seem like Bodine kind of just kind of brings that to the table, right? Like that's part of what makes him so valuable. Is they showed a chart on the broadcast at one point where it was all of the pitches that he's framed this season that they've called for strikes, and there was one that was damn near in the dirt, and it's just because
yeah,
he's pulling across the
yeah.
zone, and he knows exactly how to time up that pitch to get it into that strike zone. So he's obviously a great player, and that is the funny part about what they were saying. I know he didn't have like an insane game today, but he pretty clearly is like the star of the team.
Yeah, there's very clearly a star, probably a first round draft pick. Um, and again, that frame, I mean, best framer possibly in the country, but it also goes to show you how bad some of our umpires are as
True.
well. I mean, I don't care how well he framed it. There's no way that ball that was near the dirt should have been called a strike in any world. But I've seen some good pitch framers. I mean, Stevenson, like I mentioned, you guys faced him last week. He's an outstanding pitch framer as well, but not quite to that level. But again, I can see where Coastal Carolina can start to climb the rankings of a hated school for Arizona, especially the way they're being treated by some of the national media this week, and especially, I mean, that was their 24th straight win. That gets kind of annoying, and to do it in a clutch moment, like, they blow you out, and it's kind of like easy to forget, but like, 4-4, going into the bottom of the eighth, it's brutal. But great baseball game, but Arizona had their chances. I thought Kramkowski really put in a gritty performance. I was really impressed with him. Unfortunately, the two times I've really watched him this year, he got lit up by ACC schools, and I know he was better than that, and I saw that today. That slider was filthy. I think it had six, maybe five or six of the swinging strikeouts. But yeah, I mean, it kind of came down to like the bottom of the order. I mean, for Coastal Carolina, their guys really came through in clutch situation. I mean, that Wells Sykes kid ended up the 9-hitter for Coastal, ended up with, the 2 RBI single when it looked like Arizona could get out of that early, jam that made it 2-0 early. And then, of course, he had that double in the eighth that kind of started everything off when there were 2 outs, and it looked like we were going to be going into the ninth inning scoreless. So it's just some missed opportunities for Arizona. And when you get to this point, the margins of error is just razor thin.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, right? And in Arizona, from an Arizona perspective, at least, you see the way that game plays out, and with that 2-out double that kind of leads to that rally, right, in a tie game, down to 2 strikes, just basically throws his bat out there, hits it off the end of the knob, and goes into right field, where Brendan Summerhill, even though it was lifted up for a while, has a lower body injury right now, and probably isn't moving as fast as he could if he was fully healthy. It just felt like a lot of unfortunate things happened, and it really, you mentioned the margins being razor thin. Like, I didn't walk away from this being like Arizona was outplayed necessarily in this baseball game. I thought that if a couple extra things go Arizona's way, you never know how this one plays out, and I really felt like both teams were pretty even caliber. Like, even that 3-run score deficit, it kind of was a little bit misleading, because even in that 9th inning, they probably could have sent Andrew Kane home and with 0 outs there, and they ultimately didn't, and it could have made it a 7-5 game. Not that that does anything, but how do you respond as Arizona losing the opener of your College World Series like this? Knowing that you easily could have won this game and feeling like you probably should have won this game. How do you take that and drain it and go into game 2?
I mean, it's going to be kind of a cliche answer, but it's the truth. You gotta forget about it. You can take maybe a positive away that, hey, we could have won, and we ultimately just had bad breaks. Maybe the next time it goes our way, but ultimately the next thing is also a cliche, right? You can't look at the road that you have to do, because obviously if you look at that, it's pretty overwhelming, because now you've got to come back from the losers bracket and you start thinking about the pitching. You got to forget about all that. I mean, the players need to just focus on, I'm forgetting what day it is. Need to take a look at Sunday and just, win that game. You don't worry about, the days after that. Win Sunday, and then just focus one game at a time, because once you start stacking them, somebody's going to have to step up, right? You don't have a choice. Like, obviously, as a fan, you kind of look at the pitching depth, and it gets concerning. But this is where legends are made, right? This is where somebody unexpected can show up. Now, that doesn't always happen, but if it does happen for Arizona, this is when it happens. You're going to have somebody step up, and they're going to go down in lore at Arizona. But you just got to take it one day at a time and focus on winning the one game in front of you, and it's all hands on deck, and you'll figure it out the next game when you get to the next game, because you can't get there if you are focused on overcoming the path. And that's what the players need to focus on, because the path is daunting if you think about it from the big picture. But you don't need to think about it from the big picture. You just think about it from, what's the next game? What do we need to do to win that next game?
Yeah, definitely. And what is this path looking like for Arizona now? Like, how do they crawl out of this hole and find themselves with an opportunity to potentially take home a national championship?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because obviously, it's basically a regional and super regional setup again, right? You've got this side of the bracket, left side, it's you guys and Coastal, and then the other game tonight, which is Oregon State, and we've got Louisville, and you're going to play the loser of Louisville on Sunday. Sorry, loser of Louisville, Oregon State. I just made it sound like I'm planning on Louisville for losing. I hope that doesn't happen. But and it's going to be tough because these teams have different strengths, and it's really hard to keep the. I mean, we're in Omaha. All the teams are really really good, so Arizona's going to have to dig deep, and they can't have a clunker. They're the margin of error. We just mentioned it in terms of the games, but now the margin of error is even thinner because your elimination game, you're coming out of the losers bracket. It's going to be tough. You're going to have to beat somebody twice if you're going to get to a national championship. So you're going to have to get past an Oregon State team that has one of the best lineups in the country. You're going to have to get past a Coastal Carolina team that's won 24 games in a row. You're going to have to get past a Louisville team that can light up scoreboards and light up the base paths. And if you can do that, if you can come out of there and beat one of those teams twice, once you get to a semifinal, then you've got a reset, and then it's all about beating one team 2 out of 3. So that's what it takes to win a national championship, and it's possible. It's been done before. Um, you know, LSU just did it 2 years ago. Now we got to remember that's a Paul Skeens led super team, but it's doable. You just need to grind down and take it one game at a time, and then once you get to that national championship series, it resets.
Yeah. Yeah. And how would you say you watched a lot of North Carolina, obviously this season. Arizona went down, a game and had to claw their way back in that Chapel Hill Super Regional and win those final 2 games. How would you compare, say, a Louisville if they happen to match up with them in the next game to a North Carolina?
Yeah, it's tricky. The way North Carolina's offense was clicking by the time Arizona got there. I mean, early season North Carolina, there were some concerns about the offense, but obviously Arizona found out very quickly on Friday how good that offense was. They don't run as much as Louisville does. The key for Louisville is that you've got to keep them off the base paths. That's a team that's really hard to do. Now, North Carolina is significantly better in the pitching department, right? Jake Knapp might be the best pitcher in the nation. That's not a huge draft prospect. Jason DeCaro going into that Arizona game had been one of the best pitchers in the country over the last 6 starts, and Arizona was able to get to him. They're going to have opportunities against Louisville pitching, although in this tournament Louisville's pitching's been fantastic. But you got to feel pretty good because for me, North Carolina was, before they went down to you guys, were the co-favorites with Arkansas to win the national championship. So you've got to feel once you've done that to North Carolina that you can beat literally anybody in the country, including an Arkansas who you wouldn't have to face until a national championship series.
Yeah, and I mean, it just goes to show that this team has had their back up against the wall against elite caliber competition, and they were able to claw their way out of that. But you were there for post game, and like I said, your boots on the ground there in Omaha. Were you in the winning locker room post game?
Yeah, I end up going winning locker room because a lot of times it's just the content's not going to be good for the losing locker room, and I don't really want to ask. I'm kind of a vibes guy in a way, and I don't want to necessarily
Love
put
that.
players on the spot like that. So we had other guys in the press conference, so I was kind of dealing with Coastal, and that's kind of the benefit of this thing is that I can kind of just choose a winner. If I was an Arizona reporter, I'd be kind of stuck, right? So the benefit of being a national guy is I can kind of go who wins, and it's a little bit easier to get content that way. I was looking forward to potentially talking to some of these Arizona guys. Obviously, I got to talk to a couple guys yesterday during media day. Aaron Walton. I mean, the 2 defensive plays he made in that game 1 against North Carolina. I know the game was kind of out of reach at that point, but those back-to-back plays were unbelievable. And I just was like, I was fanboying a little bit. I was like, I need to talk to this guy because that was unbelievable. And then Adonis Guzman, again, having watched him 2 years ago at Boston College and seeing his development, I know he struggled offensively last year. And then today I was tweeting about him. I was so excited because, single, double, and then he has a bunt that a hit and run bunt that moves the shortstop out of position for him to get on base. And it was just so fun to see him doing well offensively because I know it was a bit of a struggle. We know how good he is defensively, but he almost makes a great play, too, later in the game on a wild pitch to get somebody at second base. Couldn't quite complete the play, but, this is an exciting team, and it's a team that can come back from, this deficit. It's just somebody's going to have to become a hero and go down and, in college baseball history lore to maybe make that happen.
You can check out that content that he did with Aaron Walton and with Adonis Guzman at Monty2740, and make sure, and by O I mean 0. But what did you hear from the winning locker room? I guess that anything specific to Arizona or the game that played out.
the typical, great baseball team. They're a really quality program, and just saying nice things about Arizona and what a great baseball game it was. That kind of thing. Pretty routine there.
None of
Just
like we own
just
we own those guys. We
no
beat them
no
every time we
no
match
no
up with them here.
no. You got to remember these guys at Coastal Carolina would have been like 10 years old.
True.
So that's
Well,
we're
Mason White was 8 years old when Arizona won in 2012, and then was 12 years old
that's,
in 2016 when Arizona lost. And he was a big time Arizona baseball fan growing up in Tucson. And I actually did an interview
love
with
that.
him. Check it out on our YouTube channel on PHNX Sports. But he talked about kind of just like what it would mean to him to beat Coastal Carolina for that team, because he's always been such a big fan of this program. His dad and his grandfather played for this program, and I know that he wanted this one to kind of avenge that 2016 loss, but unfortunately wasn't in the cards. But Mason White does stay hot, though. 8 home runs in his last 11 games here at the end of this season, in the most important games of the season. And, just how much, I guess, how much has the national media, like, has Mason White really been at the forefront? Like, is he somebody that you guys have been very familiar with for a while?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm also like a college baseball guy. I mean,
True.
because I'm so lasered in on the ACC, you do have to be pretty good for me to be well aware of you. And I was aware of Mason White and how good he was, how good he is, excuse me. And I don't know though if the national media truly does know. If you're not in the SEC, sometimes you're not getting the love that you necessarily deserve. Um, and there's also the East Coast bias, right? That plays a factor, I'm sure. But I mean, he's unbelievable, and he really sparked that rally and forced, I think, Coastal Carolina to go to the bullpen quicker than they expected, because all of a sudden, Mason White homers, Guzman doubles, Mikalakis, there we go. He doubles, and at that point, I think Coastal was like, I think they figured it out. So let's do the quick hook and go to Fluker. And it's just a relentless lineup. I really like the lineup. I was actually surprised because I like I said, I had a soft spot for Arizona, but I didn't necessarily watch them as much as I would have liked to, especially now that they're not stuck behind Pac-12, network stuff that I can't access. I was surprised how much of the lineup that I was familiar with and excited about when I got to Chapel Hill last week. Ultimately, I still wanted UNC to win for my own, content, but Arizona is just a very fun team, and I didn't. It's just Mason White is worth the price of admission. Very, very good player.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Monty, we appreciate you joining us and talking to us, giving us a little bit of a Omaha perspective on things, being out there, and taking the time to hop on an Arizona podcast despite being an ACC guy. Thanks, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Like I said, Monty Taylor, at Monty2740. Give him a follow on Twitter. He does great work over there. He's done some content with some Arizona guys here in the last few days here since the team got into Omaha. And yeah, he just, that great perspective there from Monty regarding, kind of being there for the game and seeing what it was like in that environment. Definitely was a very, heavy Coastal Carolina environment. Lots of their fans out there for sure. And, the cheers were loud regarding Coastal Carolina, but, I think that, Arizona fans, they were there and they were getting excited, but totally it was a home game regarding, who had more fans there. For Coastal Carolina in particular. We're going to talk a little bit more about Tony Pluto winning Stopper of the Year and just the final thoughts on this game here as Arizona loses to Coastal Carolina 7-4 in Game 1 of the College World Series. But first, let's talk about Shady Rays, guys. Shady Rays is the best sunglass company to buy from because as a man that loses his sunglasses all the time, I brought up this story to Derek when we were talking on PHNX D-backs yesterday. I happen to be a guy who may have lost his sunglasses 5 minutes into landing in Hawaii on a trip. If they had been Shady Rays, like they should have been, I would have been able to just hit up their lost and broken replacement policy hit up their support staff, and they would have shipped me a brand new stinking pair of sunglasses, premium shades, polarized shades at a not premium price, but they would have done it for free. That's the great thing about Shady Rays. Everyone loses their glasses. Everybody, struggles with keeping them, healthy, not broken into different pieces. Like, breaking and losing sunglasses is the easiest thing to do in the world. And that's why, this protection policy is the best in the business, because no one else is doing it. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com, use promo code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Just way too good of a deal to pass up on. And they got all the styles over there at Shady Rays. Another place that you're going to need to check out, and if you haven't done so already, and I have you been living under a rock, Circle K. I mean, it is an absolute staple of this state. There's a Circle K on every corner. And of course, they have the brand new Inner Circle Rewards membership program. Takes 2 minutes to sign up, guys. You download the app, you put in your email, you choose a password, bing, bam, boom, you're done. That's all it takes. And the savings are massive. 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. After that, you get 3 cents off per gallon every time you fill up at the tank. And then after that, you get 5 cents off per gallon when you become a premium member, when you reach that threshold, as I have, as Kevin has, as a lot of people over here at PHNX have. But the savings are just too great to be ignored. And of course, they have savings on drinks, savings on meal deals, all of the above. Circle K, Inner Circle Rewards membership is going to help you save money. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Well, I appreciate everybody still rocking with us, still hanging out. Please drop a like on this video if you haven't done so already. Helps us out so much, and helps my guy Kevin get some much needed rest while he's on vacation, because I still think he's not sleeping well because the like numbers haven't been good enough. But unfortunately, Arizona loses this one 7-4 to Coastal Carolina, and Coastal Carolina kind of turning out to be the boogeyman for Arizona regarding college baseball and all matters that deal with that. So definitely sucks to lose this one and put yourself in the hole of not being able to lose another game. But as we talked about with Monty Taylor, you lost that first game of that UNC Super Regional by about as embarrassing fashion as you possibly could have. And what did Arizona do? They clawed out of it, and they fought, and they won the next 2 games on a very thin margin, very back and forth games, but they were able to pull it out. And this is a team that has proven time and time again that, when their back's up against the wall, they're not necessarily feeling that pressure as much as maybe a conventional team would or a normal team would. Like this team definitely feeds off that pressure. At the end of the regular season, they were struggling. People were wondering, is this team going to make the tournament? And what do? They reel off final 2 wins against Houston, and then after that, they win the Big 12 championship game. So, they go through the conference tournament and they end up winning it all. So it's this is a team that's battle tested. They've been here before, and they have experienced players in the building to help them, get through this. And you have guys like Mason White, Brendan Summerhill, who have played a lot of big time important games. But yeah, it's going to be a hole now, and you got to crawl yourself out of it. As Monty said, Arizona will be playing Louisville or Oregon State, loser of that game in the losers bracket. Oregon State's interesting, right? Because they're a Pac-12 opponent. That's a team that, I'm sure a lot of the guys remember playing against a lot, played a series against last year. Like, Oregon State is one of the elite programs in college baseball. And, it would be interesting to see an old foe like that. But of course, you also have Louisville, who, is another ACC team. Arizona beat North Carolina, kind of the class of the ACC, if you will. Not that matters much. Baseball is so much in a vacuum. You have to take every series in a vacuum, right? Like, the Chicago White Sox could beat the Los Angeles Dodgers in a 3-game split if things break their way, and that wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. But things happen in baseball, and now you just got to hopefully find a little bit of momentum here. Put some wins together in a row. Coastal Carolina knows how to do that. They've won 24 in a row, which is insanity, but partly, Sunbelt tax. But unfortunate game. A couple bad bounces go against Arizona, and ultimately that's the difference in this one. Like I said, please drop a like on this video, guys. Helps us out so much. But yeah, thank you for rocking with me here. on this fine Friday, free ad Friday. Ain't that right, Johnny? Johnny Venerable sitting over here on the side table. Make sure you guys tune into PHNX Cardinals later. I'm pulling quadruple duty today. I want all the shows. Give me every show at PHNX. I want it on my plate today. That's what we're doing. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Interviewing 2 recent Cardinals draft picks, Keaton Crawford and Denzel Burke. So yeah, it's going to be great interviews. Make sure you guys tune into that right here at 4:30 in about an hour. But going back to this game, just a tough one, man. Tough one as Arizona fans, and this next game, as I try to find the when the loser bracket game would be for Arizona fans, I assume that it would be tomorrow. But yeah, it's gonna be a struggle to get yourself out of this one. In other news and notes, you got NBA Finals later. And of course, last game, the story of the game in a way was Benedict Mathurin and TJ McConnell, 2 Arizona Wildcats. The Pacers up 2-1 here. That game is at 5:30 p.m. today. And yeah, there's certainly, the Wildcats showed out in that one. And as I talked about with our guy Saul Bookman yesterday, Arizona Wildcats consistently find ways to carve out big time roles for themselves in teams that win, teams that make it here to the NBA Finals. That's why you've seen 14 straight Wildcats in a row. And you had like big time accounts tweeting out like Benedict Mathurin and TJ McConnell tonight with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Like that's the type of performances you saw from those guys in that game. And, hopefully more of the same. I do have a future on the Thunder that I took with our friends at Bet365, if I'm being completely honest with all the people at home. But it's hard to not root for the Sirs, right? Like, they're just such an underdog team. And, I know people don't like Tyrese Halliburton, but I find the rest of the team pretty likable. I don't really dislike him either. But TJ McConnell, Ben Mathurin, good luck tonight in the NBA Finals. Getting some extra things to round this one out. This is a little bit of a struggle here for Dwayne Aristode in regards to his how people have viewed him as a prospect, right? I think that Koa Pete and Braden Burries, have kind of taken Dwayne Aristode's shine. He was the first commit under Tommy Lloyd in this class, and Tommy Lloyd mentioned in his press conference yesterday that Dwayne Aristode is a guy that he thinks has been forgotten about by Arizona fans, by national media, and that he believes that Dwayne Aristode is going to be a guy who comes in from day one, steps up, and is able to contribute in a big time way. I wonder if those statements, like hearing that, it kind of makes me think maybe could Dwayne Aristode play that KJ Lewis role for this team next season, coming off the bench, being maybe the primary defender on the team. Obviously it's going to lead to a little bit more fouls guarding the other team's primary scorer, but I do think that Dwayne Aristode could be that kind of defensive stopper role that this team is really looking for. And clearly Tommy Lloyd feels the same way because he was talking about it here in his press conference he did yesterday, at McHale Center in Tucson. So, yeah, it's going to be something interesting to monitor how much playing time Dwayne Aristode will get. We're going to do a deep dive on that with me and Kevin when Kevin gets back. We'll talk more about Dwayne Aristode and his role that he could play in the upcoming 2025-2026 season. And last thing, I did forget to mention this, and I said I was going to. Tony Pluta wins the NCBWA, which is the National College Baseball Writers Association Stopper of the Year Award, which goes to the nation's best relief pitcher. I know Pluta gave up that double today, and so it's a little bit of an unfortunate timing, given that, they told Tony Pluta, Chip Hale told Tony Pluta on the plane and announced it on the intercom on the plane. Check out that video on the Arizona Baseball Twitter or Instagram, but really cool moment. But Tony Pluta, 28 games this year. Before today, I guess technically his runs didn't get earned against him, so this continues. Tony Pluta pitched in his 29th game tonight. He has only allowed runs in 2 of those games, earned runs off of his own accord. Like I said, Garrett Hicks's runs, on that Tony Pluta double that he gave up get charged to Garrett Hicks. But 2 runs and 14 saves in those 29 games, a single season Arizona baseball program record. And here's the craziest part: a 1.26 ERA with a .82 WHIP. Tony Pluta just keeping guys off the base paths and just with an unbelievable ERA. Might be the best relief pitcher in the country. Might be the best relief pitcher in Arizona baseball history. Just a phenomenal story, phenomenal season from the junior. And I think we should expect to see Tony Pluta back next season, just given the fact that he doesn't really profile as a major league type of player. He throws, kind of high 80s. That cutter definitely throws a lot of people off. Hopefully Tony Pluta has the chance to maybe break some records next season with some extra saves for Arizona baseball. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. We appreciate everybody for watching. You can follow me at Damon Dog, DAWG on the end of that. Follow us at AZ or at PHNX_Wildcats. Follow Monty Taylor at Monty2740 and follow my guy Kevin Thomas at KevoPost. That's KEVOPOSTS. We appreciate everybody for rocking with us today. Please like this video if you are still here and haven't done so. Subscribe to the channel. Road to 50K starts now. And we will talk to you on a Monday edition of the AZ Wildcats podcast at 2 p.m. Make sure you guys are there. Until next time, peace out, bear down, and go Cats.
We all silly like the mayor.